I have a borderline personality disorder, BPD for short. Uh, because of that diagnosis, I also have other associated conditions such as depression, general anxiety disorder, social anxiety disorder, and a bunch of other things that I don't remember. They're not important. Having borderline personality disorder and inability to deal with stress properly, I have very silly accidents like this the other day when I tripped over a curb, smacked my head on the pavement, and gave myself a concussion. Or like in April this year, I was very stressed after a bad day at college. Was stupid enough to go into Tesco's because I was stupid enough to need food and coffee, and I ended up getting banned after I got into an altercation. I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder when I was 16. But when I was 12, my children's home sent me to see my first psychiatrist, who was just more fascinated about my stutter. But um, living in a children's home, my friend at that time came to me and told me he was being discharged from care, moving far away, and I would never see him again. And I lost my temper and attacked one of the other children in the children's home. It's the first and last time I've ever lost my temper, but when that incident ended at the age of 12, my last thought was if that's how you react when friends leave you, you cannot afford to have any friends. And here I am at the age of 53, and guess what? Don't have any friends. And I'm okay with that. People through my life have ridiculed me because I sometimes stutter, and there's nothing wrong with my stutter. Other people's attitude to my stutter is a problem, but my stutter isn't a problem. And people who listen to me and hear me stutter and decide to think I'm an idiot, well, they have a problem. If you read my poetry, read the stuff I write, listen to the words I say, you can tell that I'm not an idiot. But having a borderline personality disorder, inability to connect properly with people is an element of that. I don't make friends. I don't get involved in relationships. I don't date. I cut myself off from my family whilst I was in care. That was not planned. There was a social workers' strike. Our staff walked out and abandoned us. And the local council, who run the children's home, decided they were going to send in police to evict us because they just wanted to close a very large, expensive children's home. But all the children just, we got stuck because we're not important. But I've got a younger sister. We were separated on that day, and we haven't seen each other since. For a bit, we had email contact, and now I'm stepping back. I want no more to do. I, I've the rest of my family can rot in hell. My sister, she has done me no wrong. I bear her no ill will, but she's in a good place. She's got over what we went through, and she's got a family. She's married. She's got kids. She's happy. So I want to leave her there. I don't want her coming down to my level. Uh, Having a borderline personality disorder, I have a tendency to self palm. Oh, there we go. You can just about see some scars. Yeah, there we go. And yeah, I did mention part of having a borderline personality disorder. I also suffer from depression. And yes, in the year 2000, I was found hanging from scaffolding with my wrist cut. Some people still think that's a cry for help. I was homeless at the time. Where am I supposed to do it? But back then, the standard approach to borderline personality disorder was we can't fix it. So we're not going to help you fix it. We will teach you to manage the depression. Well, I've been doing that pretty well since I was 12. And up until my breakdown, I used to work in early years education, young children, and I was good at it. And I was a very good special educational needs officer. My depression got the better of me, and that's what ended my career. I did nearly 15 years of therapy in the hope of returning to my career. But as I didn't actually want to fix it, that's a lot of waste of therapy. And now my GP tells me, we think differently now. Maybe we can fix it. Would have helped 20 years ago. I could do the therapy now. I just don't see the point. I'm never getting married. I'm never having friends. Never having relationships. I've lived most of my life without things like hugs, cuddles, physical affection, and I will continue to do so. That's not a great problem, and that's more my choice. I don't trust people. You hurt me, don't trust you. Simple as that. And I just don't trust anybody. Borderline personality disorder. I can use the word trust, but I don't think the word trust really applies. Something in here doesn't process emotions properly, doesn't process how to interact and connect with other people properly. And they didn't want to fix it. I've had to adapt the therapy they taught me and the different techniques. I don't know if it's that they are narrow-minded or stupid despite their degrees. A therapist sits down, teaches me a relaxation thing with a guided meditation using beaches, palm trees, softly lapping waves, or a gentle stream in a forest. And they don't seem to understand I'm a city boy, I don't like the outside, so getting me to imagine a beach or a forest is not going to help me relax. Don't like the outside. It's things with no legs, things with 100 legs, things that fly, things that don't fly, things that bite, that sting. Don't like the outside. If you're going to give me a guided meditation to help me relax, come up with better ideas. You are trained, you have the degree. Me, I just used to help children learn to count to 2 and 3 and help them learn to read and write. I don't have your degree, and yet I've had to take the tools you taught me and adapt them to something that works. And I'd like to mention mindfulness meditation, because my biggest problem with mindfulness meditation is the therapists who have taught it to me don't know what they're teaching. And though I've asked them, do you use this? And they say, oh yeah, I know they don't. If it works for you, great. For some people, God works, great. Whatever works for you, great. Doesn't work for everyone. And certainly in my country, we've got a one-size-fits-all approach to everything. Education, therapy. Suppose even if you're a cancer patient, it's this treatment or none. I don't know. Having a borderline personality disorder, I have behaviour issues. I no longer self harm. I no longer cut myself as I used to, but I run out of money and find myself having to go 2, 3 days at a time with no food. And though I am aware from reading up on it, that's just a part of borderline personality disorder. I'm also concerned maybe it's another form of self harm. Uh, I used to be a bad alcoholic. Yes, this is a glass of beer. But I am now not a bad alcoholic. Yes, 3 or 4 nights a week I will drink 2 or 3 beers or maybe a bottle of red wine. But I also have 2 or 3 days a week sober. And I stay away from spirits. If I start drinking spirits now, there's only one reason. I've decided that I am going to kill myself and I'm just building up my stomach because it's a glug, 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 and then going. That's why I have to stay away from spirits. And I'm okay with that. Although I think I am operating under the illusion that I won't kill myself sober. And I think that's a mistake because my second overdose attempt whilst I was in hospital, I was stone cold sober and I got that one right. If only I hadn't, if only another 5 minutes, it doesn't matter. I've had a borderline personality disorder all my life. As far as I know, I remember with my early family, mum and dad were drunk and violent anyway. My sister and I were taken into care when my mum poured a bottle of vodka down my sister's 8-year-old throat and then dumped her out on the stairs when she collapsed. That's why we ended up in care. I wasn't stuck in a children's home because I was a feral kid or a crook or a vandal. Mum and dad tried to kill us. That's why we got taken into care. There was a lot of abuse. And going into care was not a safe place. My key worker, my court-appointed parent, Richard, he's providing me with hardcore pornographic magazines. He's trying to groom me for his gang. A gang of children in the other children's home he has worked in. He's an agency worker who he rents out to his friends for abuse. And this is my safe place for my sister and I. Well, such a good thing to cancel cares, eh? I used to be a nice person a long time ago, and the longer my illness has gone on, particularly since my breakdown being the point where my depression turned to me trying to end my life, since then I've become more and more bitter and sad because of that. And in 2009, I've been on a lot of antidepressants, which I don't take anymore. But in 2009, I was either on Seroxat or citalopram, and that used to turn me into a complete psycho. Ended up having an accident with a broken window. This hand had to have an operation to fix a tendon. All because I'm just completely nuts on these antidepressants. 2009, stopped them. Don't take no more antidepressants, won't speak to any more therapists. They didn't want to listen then, why should I want to listen now? And the problem with therapists, if they help you, great. But I find they look at me and they're just looking at a mental patient and they assume because they have the training, they have the degree, that they know more than what I do. I've done more therapy than they've done training. So when I politely suggest the way you're doing that guided meditation, you could be doing something better, they tend to get upset and accuse me of being an arrogant patient with attitude. And it's that word patient that always comes back. I don't think I've ever met a mental health professional who has looked at me and seen either a human or an adult or an equal. Everyone who's looked at me has seen nothing but a patient. And that gets really, really frustrating. I didn't mean to go on this long, and I have been rambling. Hopefully this is an introduction. My GP suggested this might be a good type of therapy, a blog of such, to talk through my borderline personality disorder and my depression and anxieties. Hopefully more will follow. We'll see. And if anyone did waste their time listening, thank you for listening.